How to stop rude behavior. My 5 top tips in order to help you and your kiddos have less rude moments. So, a parent emailed me and said, how to handle a kid being rude with facial expressions and a strong voice saying no and arguing. She wanted help on how do I change this and asked that on my Wednesday wisdoms that I answered this question. What do you do? How do you change it? So I have 5 tips for you today. The very first one I just shared on Instagram and LinkedIn. And if you don't follow me there, you should because it's a good one. The very first one is how about your behavior? What do you do when your kids are rude? Or are there moments in your life when you're rude to them or to others that they're witnessing that? Because our behavior impacts what our kids do. And sometimes when our kids yell at us, we yell back. If they make weird faces at us, we make weird faces back at them when we're angry. And we justify it in all sorts of ways. And I get it. This is not about shaming you or blaming you or saying it's your fault. None of that. But part of the solution to changing challenging behavior is you changing your behavior because we have to lead our kids through that. We have to show them what it is like to not be rude, to not roll our eyes when something obnoxious is said, to not argue. I mean, arguing is a sport in some homes. Is it a sport in your home? And if you're arguing with your kiddos, then it is probably logical that they're going to argue with you at times. So the very first recommendation I have for you is to check your own behavior. If you are being rude, you need to stop. If you are arguing with your kids, you need to stop. And if you are saying no in an unkind way, right? Saying no to kids is an important skill for them to learn. It's important for you to be able to say no, but you have to say no with respect and with kindness. So if you are not doing that, the first step is for you to shift your rudeness. Okay? If you need help with that, let me know. Send me a question. We can talk about how to say no with kindness for sure. We can talk about, I actually have another video already on my YouTube channel about getting your kids to accept no. So check that out if you need it. Okay, number 2, select your words carefully. Sometimes when our kids are doing something that we don't like, we say to them, we don't do that in our family, or no, you cannot yell at me. Well, none of those words are true because they did just yell at you. Or they, in saying we don't do that in our family, does that mean they are not part of your family? Because they are. So you want to make sure that the language you use in the moments when they are being rude is true and accurate. So it might be something like, I don't like when you yell at me, or I'm not going to listen to that tone of voice. It's not about what they can or can't do because they just did it. They can. They can be rude. They can say no. They can argue, but you're not going to respond to it. If they want your help, if they want your support, if they want you to respond, they have to ask in a different way. Those are all things you can control, but not whether they can or can't. Okay. So be careful with your words. So it might be, I'll talk to you about this when you come sit on the couch. That you can tell if it's true, not stop yelling at me, because that is not something we have control over. Okay. Number 3, I wonder, how do you react when they yell? How do you take action? What happens? You ask your kiddo to go brush their teeth. They look at you and they go, no way, Jose, I'm not doing it. Right? As some kids do. What do you then do? Do you follow their lead and go into that whole conversation about how they have to listen to you and be respectful and be kind? Or do you follow through? Do you use actions after your, because that's going to be my recommendation, is the way you respond to their rudeness is part of the way you change their rudeness. So if they're rude and you go, it's time to go brush your teeth, let's go. No, I'm not. And you go, yeah, come on, I'm going to take your hand and let's go. And you walk together over to the bathroom. They might keep being vocally rude, but very physically compliant, because sometimes kids will just go with you. Now, if you have like a 15-year-old that's being rude, that's a different story because they're usually bigger than at least me. But that concept of the actions you take following that statement make a huge difference. So, what actions are you taking? How are you responding? How are you reacting to their rudeness? Because when we have a big reaction, we get real upset about it. Well, then they are kind of like, haha, I did that. I pushed mom's buttons. I pushed dad's buttons. I made a reaction happen. And that is not helpful because they like that. But if you get real boring, let's go brush your teeth. Come on, we're brushing your teeth. I'll be in the bathroom when you're ready to brush your teeth. And you go real slow and calm. It's not that interesting. Being rude doesn't serve the same function that perhaps it did. So if you're having big reactions to your kids, don't do it when they're rude. But you may have heard me talk about positive yelling before. And if your kids are being rude and you tend to have that big reaction, it means they like that response from you. So file that away and go, okay, when my kid does something great, I'm going to have that big response. I'm going to do what I call positive yelling of, I'm going to use all that big animation, all that big intonation when they do something great. So they learn they can get a big reaction for goodness, not rudeness. That distinction is really powerful and a little bit backwards from what we naturally think to do, but so impactful. So impactful. Okay, number 4, or I can't believe we're already on 4. It's so exciting. Okay. Can you have them earn whatever it is they don't want to do, whatever it is they want to be doing instead of being with you? Can you have them earn that instead of it being a punishment that you're taking away? A lot of times when our kids are rude, when they argue with us, we start grasping at straws and say, if you don't go brush your teeth right now, no TV for you. If you don't, you lose dessert, right? We get frustrated and start grasping at all sorts of straws that aren't necessarily connected, but we're frustrated. So we get overwhelmed and we start pushing back against their yelling in random ways. And it makes us feel better in the moment. And sometimes it works because, especially when it comes to technology, kids are pretty addicted to it, but it's not impactful long term. Long term, set up a system in your home that in order to earn your screen time, you got to brush your teeth with kindness every day. In order to earn your dessert, you have to come to the table every time with ease. In order to earn going to the playground, in order to earn that play date, in order to earn, you have to speak to me with kindness. You have to use a in-house volume. You have to use nice words and smile when you talk to me, whatever the rule is. Now, notice all of those were positive framings. I didn't say not be rude because we don't want to have them earn through a negative. We want them to earn through a positive. House rules, earnings, all of those things, we want to come from the positive so your kids know what to do. How do I get this? How do I accomplish it? How do I do the right thing? You got to tell them what that is so they can accomplish it. Okay. Flip it around. If you have questions about how to flip a negative into a positive, put it in the comments and I will respond with a, here's the opposite. Here's the good of that. Because there's always a way to find the flip side of it. Promise. I've done it over and over again. It's really good. Okay. And number 5, this might be my favorite one of all of them, but number 5 is celebrate when they do listen. Celebrate the good. Because when you give your kid a direction and then you just keep going, they're like, well, why should I do that? Right? You ask them to brush their teeth, they go brush their teeth, and you move on with the rest of your routine. But when they argue, when they're rude, when they push back, when they say no, then you're like, oh, you get a whole lot of attention for it. No, we have to flip that also. We have to celebrate when they listen well. We have to remind them that we're so proud of them when they make good choices with their behavior, when they follow the directions, when they're not rude. We have to reinforce that so they build it up. Yes? More celebration of the good, less focus and energy on the rude moments will shift that entire behavior. Okay, those are all of my strategies for you. So Two things. One, I want you to put in the comments which of these 5 things you are going to put in place. I don't want you to put them all in at once because then it becomes overwhelming and too much. So, one, check yourself. Two, select your words carefully. Three, notice your reaction. Four, have them earn instead of lose things. And five, celebrate more. Which one are you going to do? Put it in the chat. Let me know. Number two, please share this video, subscribe, follow, because that way you'll make sure to get my Wednesday wisdoms every week. You'll know when there are new videos coming, and it just helps all of the algorithms so more parents can learn more about these great parenting tools that I do my best to share with regularity. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Have a fabulous, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, blue skies are ahead, and we're going to get there together. Bye.